guys, it's Crystallized Wonder, and here's some random content that nobody asked for. I'm going to show you my decks, I'm going to introduce them to you, and yeah, let's get started! So now on with this deck. This was actually given to me by a previous neighbor who I am no longer friends with because they were very, very toxic. Yeah, I don't really use these ones very much, but when I do, it is usually for other people. The Fairies Oracle. I use these a lot because they also have reverse meanings, and I use them when I want some cold hard truths. These are the Sacred Path cards, Native American inspired cards. I use these when I am reading for myself because they do actually like to read for me. The Wild Unknown Tarot. This is probably one of the more popular ones that I have seen online. These, I just use them whenever I feel like it. Mostly for when it's their turn for a daily card. The Wild Unknown Animal Spirit. This tells you about a person and who they truly are. I love them so much, especially when people have questions about other people in their lives, or if I have questions about somebody's intentions in mine. Tea Leaf Fortune cards. I use these when it comes to year-long readings, or when it comes to if I need to know about something that's going to happen in a certain month, or if I'm asking is something going to happen and when is it going to happen? Usually karma cards. These ones are very interesting. As you can see on the back, it has 3 separate things, which is the planets, the signs, and the houses. Now these are really cool because they actually form sentences. And yeah, you get your messages through the sentences from physical, mental, and spiritual messages. Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards. These I love because when I'm giving a reading to somebody, not only does it tell you what kind of problem that you're having in your life, but also what areas you need to work on to fix it. Vintage Wisdom Oracle. I love these cards because they are beautiful and they give me this really calm sense, a calm feeling, very peaceful. And I love using them when the questions are not too chaotic or too important. So, yeah. Angel Tarot cards. This is one of my first decks, one of them, very, very early on. I got this when I was maybe 18, 19. And, yeah, I've been using them ever since. I don't use them very much anymore, basically only for, daily cards. But I do use them when requested because not a lot of people like my other decks that have to do with, fairies and, animal spirits and other things like that. So, angels are kind of a good way to go for people like Archangel Power Tarot cards. This is basically used for the same thing. It's for people who do not feel comfortable with any other of my decks. The Psychic Tarot of the Heart. Now this I call my heart deck because I can literally physically feel when somebody else is touching it. I hate it, they hate it, and this is my number one deck that I do not let anybody else touch because it physically hurts me when they do. Oh, and this deck is also about love and relationships, not only with other people but with the self. The Psychic Tarot. This is kind of the sister deck to the last one that I showed you guys, and this is just for all general things, and I really like using it. Fairy Tarot cards. This is the my least used fairy deck ever because it doesn't get that in detail, but I will use it for people who feel more comfortable with this deck than my other fairy decks. Life Purpose Oracle cards. These cards are about school and business and career-wise stuff. Magical Mermaids and Dolphins. This was actually a gift from one of my friends because they used to be hers and she didn't really use them or they didn't work. I don't remember which one it was, but they ended up really, really, really working well for me. So I use these with her and with a couple of other certain people that these cards just really seem to really like. Gateway Oracle cards. Now, funny story with this is that one of my friends actually bought this for herself, and then she kind of just left it at my house and completely forgot about them, even after I was like, hey, you left your cards here. She still didn't take them, so they ended up, like, in my possession. So I guess it was just meant to be. And I love these cards. I don't use them very much, and I should, but they are difficult to read, so I only use them for special occasions. Ascended Masters Oracle cards. I use these whenever I am vending at a healing fair, because a lot of people, a lot of psychics, like other psychics, and mediums and stuff, they feel very drawn to this deck. Talking to Heaven. So these cards are mediumship cards, so this is for talking with somebody who has passed over. Now, I am a medium. I can talk with the dead very easily just by myself, but these I use to have like a visual representation for the people that I am reading for. Native Spirit Oracle cards. Now, funny story about this too is that when I bought these cards, they were originally supposed to be for my roommate, and I was supposed to get the butterfly cards, but the butterfly cards, like, they worked for me, but they just didn't feel right, and these did not work for my roommate at all. So when I tried them, they worked really well for me, so we switched, and now they're mine, and I love them, and I use them for myself because Native Spirit. Saints and Angels Oracle cards. This is another deck that I don't use very much anymore, but this is also one of my earlier decks. Got it like 18, 19 years old. And yeah, I use this very seldomly, but when I do, it is again for people that are more comfortable with angels and such rather than everything else. Daily Guidance from Your Angels Oracle cards. This I use for daily cards sometimes, and this is actually the second ever Oracle deck that I ever bought. So yeah, they hold a pretty special place in my heart because of that, and they're very good for just daily draws. The Romance Angels. These you have seen a lot on my videos, you guys. I use these in my love readings. This is actually something that I bought very early in my journey with tarot and oracle cards. And yeah, used for romance. Fortune's Wheel Tarot. Now this is the very first tarot deck I ever bought. They hold a very special place in my heart, but I don't use them very much because they are old. Even like the paper for the book is yellowing. And the box is kind of damaged because of how often I used it. So I try not to use it very much because I do not want to cause any more damage to this. The Hobbit Tarot. Because I'm a geek, for one. And for two, I bought this before I moved to a different state. And I lost a lot of my things because it was with an ex who ended up just stealing and like throwing away a bunch of my stuff. But I brought this with, and I had kept it with me even when I came back home. So this has been through a lot with me. I feel very spiritually connected with this deck for very obvious reasons, and I love them so much, and I use them for very special occasions now. Gypsy Witch Fortune Telling playing cards. Now these cards are very interesting and very unique. I use them for a lot of my friends actually. These cards I really only pull out when I'm reading for a really close friend because it can, I hate to say it, but they actually do. They can predict death. And sometimes people just really need to hear it, especially if somebody is sick. They really need to hear if the person is going to, you know, pass. So I really only pull these out when I'm reading for a very good friend. Guardian Angel cards. These cards are really cool. They are actually heart-shaped in the box. And I don't use them very often. I use them for daily cards if somebody asks. And again, this is a deck that I use for people that are only, like, comfortable with angels. Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards. This I absolutely love because, one, they are native based, and I got them kind of recently, a little bit, like maybe last year. And yeah, I use them a lot for myself, and they are kind of really picky about the people that they read for. So there's only certain people that I do use these with. Love and Light Angel cards. These have a story. As you can tell, the box is very old. It's very stained. This was actually the very first deck ever that I bought. And at first they did not work for me and I did not know why. So I kind of had them in a box, and I bought my Fortune's Wheel Tarot and the Daily Guidance from the Angels, which you guys saw earlier. So I was using those, and then one day the spirit of my deceased boyfriend from many years ago had come to me and said, "Hey, it's time. Look in this box that's in your closet." So I went to look. This was the very first thing that was on top. So I tried them again. They worked. So I guess it was just that it wasn't the right time for me to use them when I first bought them. But now they are very good with me, and I can read them very well now. And I use them for when people are very, very lost. Like they have no idea what to do with their life and where their life is even going. So that is what these are for. Moonology Oracle cards. This one you guys are very familiar with. I use them in, I think, all of my reading videos. So these are the ones with the moon phases and astrology on them. The Dark Mirror Oracle cards. These ones I love, but I don't use them very often because they dig deep into somebody's soul to dig out the deepest, darkest parts of them and call them out, basically. So I don't use them regularly. I use them for when people really need that kick in the ass. Shadowscapes Tarot. This is my favorite tarot deck ever. I had a deck of this before, but the box was like completely broken and stuff, and they ended up being stolen and damaged and stuff by my ex. And yeah, so I bought a new one with the new box. But funny story is that the first deck of this that I ever got was actually given to me by a friend for Valentine's Day, because every time that I went to a place that sold tarot cards, they were always like right at my eye level, right up in front, literally begging for me to take them home, and I could never afford them. So my friend got them for me instead. Very next thing is we went to another place that sold tarot cards, and they were not there, and I had never seen them since until I needed to replace them. Oracle of Fairies. I got this because I am very drawn to the artwork, and I haven't used them very much. I would like to start using them more, but they are beautiful, and the energy of these is just calming and very comforting. And yeah, I would just love to start using these more. Oracle of the Mermaids. This I recently got when I was still with my recent ex. And yeah, I got them because 1, I love the artwork. 2, I love the ocean. And I use these for people of water signs because for some reason these guys are very drawn to those types of people. And finally, the Wild Unknown Archetypes. This is a brand new deck that I got. They are actually shaped like circles, just like the tea leaf cards. And they are another deck that likes to tell you about who people are, what their intentions are. And this goes a little bit more into detail with that. And I love them.